Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review. This movie is a horror film from the United States, English language, released in the year 2019, directed by Tate Taylor, and this film is called Ma. So Ma is about this young girl. She has just moved to a new area. She doesn't really know anybody, so she's trying to fit in. So she quickly fits in. She's a likable person. She gets a few friends from school and they want to go party one evening. So they can't buy alcohol, obviously, they're not old enough. So they're hanging outside this convenience store and they're trying to find someone to buy them alcohol. But all the adults that they come across say, look, go away, we don't want anything to do with this. Then they come across this woman. Now this woman says, okay, she'll buy them alcohol. She wants, she remembers how it was when she was a teenager, so she just wants to help them out. She appears nice enough and she gets them alcohol, and then they say thank you and they leave, and they're trying to party, but now they can't find anywhere to drink this alcohol because they get busted. And so the next time they see Ma, they nickname her Ma eventually, and the next time they see Ma, she says, look, all right, not only am I going to buy you alcohol, but I'll give you a place to party, and the place that they're going to party is her basement. So they accept this. This is awesome, according to them. But then after a while, they start to realise that something very strange is going on. Ma is very attached to these teenagers, and the teenagers are starting to get creeped out. But by the time they realise that Ma is a little bit unhinged, it might already be too late. So whether or not it is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Ma. This is exactly what I thought it would be. This is a very disposable, run-of-the-mill horror film that wasn't terrible, but then again it wasn't that great either. It's just a movie that just goes through the motions, and it's definitely a movie that I would say check out if you come across it, but don't go out of your way to really track it down because it just doesnn't have enough shadow of its own. So to start off with, Octavia Spencer is great as the lead character of Ma. This is a very unhinged woman, and there are a few secrets behind this character that give the story a little bit more depth than you would expect. And so there are a few curiosities out there that beg answering, and so that is what keeps the movie from ever getting boring, is that as the movie develops, so does the story, and so does the tense situation. I thought, all right, well, there were some horror set pieces that were actually fairly well done, and Octavia Spencer really does hold the film, is that when she starts to develop her character and you start to realise what's going on, I started to feel genuinely creeped out, and it was because of her performance. And so having such a great actress in a film, this is exactly what you want from your lead character, your lead actress. The actress that is going to sell the film, you want to really make the film. And Octavia Spencer definitely does that. She is the best part of this film, and she was sufficiently creepy as this person who is really needy of these teenagers. It's very, very weird, but then it starts going from weird to dangerous. And so when you start to know what's going on, I thought it was sufficiently interesting enough. I thought the acting performances from the teenagers was fairly decent, nothing really to write home about, but they weren't overly annoying. They were being teenagers, they were drinking, and I thought, all right, well, their reactions to certain things were, they were fairly authentic, although there were a few occasions where I thought to myself, if that was me, I would have got out of there straight away. But for the purpose of the film and the continuation of the film, I could understand why they didn't. And I thought the cinematography was fairly well done, and it was a fairly decent film as far as the nastiness is concerned, although I do have a little bit of a problem as far as the potential of that nastiness. But I thought, all right, well, as far as a horror film is concerned, you could do a lot worse than Ma, but unfortunately you could do a lot better as well. And that's unfortunately the biggest problem to Ma, is that it's just not that memorable. It has the potential to be very memorable, but I don't think Tate Taylor really wanted to push that envelope. He didn't want to make it as nasty as it could have been because he wanted to appeal to a wider audience. This is unfortunately the problem with mainstream horror films, is that they are confined to a limit, and when you've got independent horror films, they aren't confined to that limit, so they can branch out and they can really make a film that's going to hit you over the head with a sledgehammer. But this movie really just taps you on the shoulder, and I thought to myself, there are some somewhat nasty moments, but they could have really pushed the envelope and made a really shocking film. The actual potential was there, but the potential was not used. And unfortunately, the biggest criticism of this film is that it needed that potential. It really needed to hit you over the head with that sledgehammer, because it needed to jump out of the shadow of numerous other films that are like this. And so that was my biggest criticism, and that unfortunately halted the enjoyment that I had of Ma. Is that I watched this with my wife a few nights ago, ago, and we both thought, all right, well, it definitely wasn't a waste of time, but in a few days' time, you're really not going to remember it. And so it does have a great performance from Octavia Spencer, but unfortunately, it just doesn't dare to be different enough to really warrant this movie as something exciting. And so, at the end of the film, it was, somewhat, it was okay, but unfortunately, the whole film was just okay. It's not a movie that was terrible, but then, as I said, it's not a movie that really got me, excited. It wasn't a movie that made me want to go out there and shout out to everyone to watch this movie as soon as you can, unlike a few films that I've watched recently. So, if you come across it late one evening, then Ma is definitely a decent way to spend 90 odd minutes, but don't go out of your way to track it down, because it just doesn't have that lasting quality to really hit that home run. So overall, for Ma, going to give this one 3 stars. It does what it does sufficiently well, but it just doesn't have the quality to make it a really, really good film. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.